Business Bites with Invest Northern Ireland. Go further and grow stronger with Invest NI. Visit investni.com/export to reach your exporting potential. Invest NI. Go further and grow stronger.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Business Bites from Bauer Media Audio here in Northern Ireland. My name is David Tighe, the Managing Director of Bauer Media. And I have a cold this week, so if I sound a bit different, it's because I'm battling with the cold and the flu. But the show must go on, and that's why we're delighted this week to introduce our guest. It's Stephen Kane. He's the Managing Director of Solv. Stephen, welcome to Business Bites.
Hi there, David. Thanks very much for bringing us along today to tell our story. Thank you.
Well, it's absolutely our pleasure, and a great name, and I'll be wanting to get into that in a minute. And obviously I can see from your background there, I'm getting a clue into the business that you're involved with. But before we get into that, let's just wind this right back, because I understand you've been running your own business in East Belfast for over 35 years. Just give us a little bit of background on Solv and how it's evolved into what it is today.
I'm Stephen Kane, as you stated there. I'm the Managing Director of the business. And together with Lauren McDonald and Paul Toman, we run the business Solv. We are a mechanical and electrical service and maintenance company covering all of Northern Ireland. In order to understand Solv's story, we need to sort of look back a wee bit in time. I set out in my business journey back in the early 90s as literally a proverbial one-man band. Within about a month, I had my first employee, Jonathan Armstrong, who I'm delighted to say is still working 2 offices away from me at the minute. At the time, that organisation turned into a facilities management company. We employed about 75 staff in both Dublin and Belfast, and we had that all Ireland coverage. I sold that organisation about 2007, so we did, and we started to focus more on renewable technologies in a company that had set up about 2000, Solv Group. So that sort of got us into that installation world, and we're carrying out jobs sort of circa £500,000. We had also installed one of the largest biomass boilers in Ireland at the time in one of the local hospital trusts. It was a huge, big beast of a thing. Sort of moved forward 2009, and we'll all remember that the financial crisis we're in at that stage. And a couple of things happened at that time that really paved our sort of future direction. The business that I'd sold in 2007 went into administration. How did that affect us? They were tenants in buildings that I still owned, and with massive repayment mortgages still to make the banks, and that was going to hurt us in our future direction. So it was. And also the renewables went out the window. Nobody was interested. It was just switched off almost overnight. So it was. After some quick soul searching, we did, and knowing that a lot of the employees that I'd previously employed were going to be made redundant, we decided to go back into that world again and back into the mechanical and electrical services industry and try to save as many of those jobs as possible. We started out with a vision to put our not to become the biggest organisation in the country, and that wasn't on the agenda, but we really wanted to be the best in our industry and focus on putting our customers first really at everything that we do.
Well, it's a fascinating story, and I'm always amazed by the stories we hear on Business Bites, how something started, but it didn't quite finish at this point the way that it was envisaged at the beginning. So it's a great story of being able to navigate through those choppy waters. So here we are today, 2023. Tell us a little bit about Solv today. What's the company all about?
Okay, good question. So at this point, we really have 3 key customer groups: commercial, with landlords, and with homeowners. We tailor the services really dependent on the end user and ultimately a season that we're in. For example, given the climate that's happening, the frost and whatever, our boiler service and repair division are completely flat out at the minute. A large proportion of our business would be dedicated to sort of helping customers become more energy efficient by upgrading, say, boilers to new condensing type products. We also offer electrical, plumbing, and air conditioning services as well. For our commercial customers, we have a full facilities management service, encompassing everything from the front door to the back door for organizations and sectors such as retail, schools, churches, office blocks, sports facilities to hospitals. The list really is endless for that sort of thing. So it is. Whenever I was running through in my own mind examples of what we get up to in those sort of commercial properties, last night I had remembered a very good story. I had been out with the dog up in Beaver Forest Park. It was about 4 o'clock one Saturday afternoon when one of our building managers rang me. I'd literally opened the boot up and I was about to let the dog out. And he had advised that he was down in Amazon, down in Titanic quarter. It was, the gales were blowing at force 10, so they were. And down at Amazon, they had probably about 6 big marquees up each side of the building, and the winds were literally ripping these marquees out of the ground. So I said, "What have you rang me for?" He says, "I need 16 men down to take them down." I thought that was an impossible challenge, given it was 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. And I started to ring round some of the boys to see who could make it down. I was delighted whenever I arrived about on site about 45 minutes later to find 15 others. I was the 16th man. Between plumbers, electricians, painters, we were all there to hand, and we were able to get them down within about 2 hours. So it was challenging, but we got the job done. Needless to say, the dog wasn't happy.
Some great stories, great stories. Right now, people are struggling with the cost of living crisis. As you mentioned, you're very, very busy with things like boilers in these winter months. Can you give us some quick tips and suggestions for people who might be watching this in business, who might be experiencing issues with heating and energy just in general?
The most important thing they must continue to do is keep servicing those appliances. Not only does this keep the product burning to their maximum efficiency, but it also ultimately avoids risks. Things can go wrong, which can put families and business owners at risk from things like carbon monoxide poisoning. If a boiler isn't running correctly, if a boiler is running correctly, sorry, it will save them money. And this can only be checked and tested as part of the service. And it should be done annually. This applies to all combustion appliances, whether they be oil, coal, wood, whatever. During the pandemic, some organizations and some people neglected to get those things serviced, and they ultimately paid the price for it. The small things that are picked up during the service, if they're not attended to and dealt with at the time, can turn into big things, which ultimately cost a fortune to fix. As we touched upon earlier on, we upgrade and offer old boilers be replaced with new condensing products. These can save up to 30% on people's annual utility bills. And as we all know, at the high cost of fuel at present, it just makes so much more sense when it comes to people making up their mind whether to repair or replace appliances. We can also offer upgrades such as smart controls, smart thermostats and timers, as well as thermostatic controls to radiators. And these combined will have a massive impact on the end bill. So they will. Outside of central heating, consumers can utilize sensors and timers to control, say, lighting and the obvious changeover of the old efficient light bulbs to LED bulbs. It can have a significant saving as well.
Some great tips. We are really pushed for time here. We've only got a minute left, and we could talk for a long time about this. I understand you want to give a shout out to one of your installation managers who was involved quite well in the sustainability area. I think it's James. And then I want to talk to you finally about the East Side Awards. So tell us about James.
Delighted to say that James was chosen to become part of a 30 under 30 programme for future climate change makers in Northern Ireland. And that will help us dramatically, so it will understand where we're going with all those things in the future.
Yeah, well done. James Ray, I think, to give him his full name. Tell us briefly about the East Side Awards. You're involved with these awards. What are they and how are you involved?
The East Side Awards was sparked after I attended the Ashling Awards in West Belfast. The question came up from the sales director at the time from Phoenix, why does East Belfast not do the same thing? So he had said to me at the time, if I could set that up, would you be interested? And I said I would be delighted to. So 7 years later, we've been walking that path, and it has been a real interesting journey. So it has, with us having our head offices in East Belfast for those 35 years, it just made so much sense that we would be part of it. There's about 8 people on the panel now, so there is, who help us steer that each year, and sponsors various categories, are large household names who everyone will know. They celebrate both individuals and SMEs across categories such as tourism, contribution to the arts, best organisation to work for. There's like 16, I think, in total. They're such an important thing to be part of. It's great.
Well, it's great to see Solv doing such great work, Stephen, in all areas of business and society. Finally, if people want to get in touch with you, they can visit the website, I presume.
Yep, that's dead easy. Our web address is solvgroup.com, and our help desk is helpdesk@solvgroup.com. Dead easy.
Stephen, thank you so much for telling your story and the story of Solv and everyone who's working there. And it's been great to chat with you this week.
Okay, I hope your cold clears up. Thank you for having us.
Business Bites with Invest Northern Ireland. Go further and grow stronger with Invest NI. Visit investni.com/export to reach your exporting potential. Invest NI. Go further and grow stronger.